Oh, you guys are quickly popping in. Good morning to you. Good morning, Lori. How are you?
Hello, Lauren. I know I see those. Well, the numbers are growing because we have a special guest today, and I know they're getting ready and excited for our special guest. That's what's going on.
For sure. I cannot wait for this conversation. It's always fun to have her on. Let me quickly and do the intro and then we can hop to it because I don't want to delay this conversation. I really want to hear what's happening.
You got it.
All right, let me go ahead and share my screen. And Lori, if you could just confirm you can see everything. Well, not
Yeah.
everything. Hopefully you just see the slideshow.
In a minute, I probably will because I know you're clicking it. Yep, you're good to go.
Okay, perfect. So good morning again to everyone. My name is Lauren Simpson. I am with the SBDC, or the Small Business Development Center. We are a national program with over 1,000 locations across the country, and we offer no-cost services to local small businesses. Now, we offer our services at no cost to you because your tax dollars have already taken care of all of our fees. For the Los Angeles network, which is the network I'm a part of, we serve the Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, and Ventura counties. And so if you are in any city within any of those counties, please be sure to get in contact with us because we have a ton of resources available to you. Here's a deeper dive into what it is that we do. Again, I mentioned no cost. You're going to continue to hear no cost because everything that we offer is at no cost to you. We offer no cost business advising. And so you're able to sit one-on-one via Zoom currently with one of our business experts. And we're talking about expertise in the areas of construction, in the areas of marketing. If you're looking to create a business plan, and so you're very new in the process of your entrepreneurial journey, we also have those who can assist you in growth and growing your business. You might even be able to sit with our guru of numbers, Miss Lori Williams, who can turn those numbers from, the most fearful thing you've ever seen in life to you're very much so your best friend. And then we also offer virtual trainings. And so those are comprehensive workshops that, again, helps your business adapt and grow. So be sure to get in contact with us today. We'd love to get started with you. If you'd like to reach us by phone, go to 866-588-7232. If you'd rather go online, please go to smallbizla.org/new client. If you've reached us and you're outside of the Santa Barbara, Ventura, or Los Angeles counties, please go to americassbdc.org/find your SBDC. With that, Lori, I'm going to quickly stop my screen share so that I can pull up another screen on my computer.
Perfect.
Just
Yep.
want to tell everybody about the EOG program. I don't know if you wanted to dive into it, or would you rather I?
No, I'm going to go ahead and let you, Lauren, because you've got the information in front of you. I just want to let everybody in our audience know that this is the grant program that we started out by saying you heard it here first. Then we said coming soon, coming soon, coming soon. It is here, and we've got updated information. So perk your ears up. We're going to say something different and new than we've been saying weekly. So with that, take it away, Lauren. Let them know how they can get more information and get involved.
Thank you, Lori. So as Lori mentioned, you heard it here first. This is the EOG program, or the Economic Opportunity Grant Program. It is brought to you by the Department of Economic Opportunity, County of Los Angeles, as well as the partners that are listed here at the bottom. This is the landing page of the website. You'll see that there are 3 tabs: Home, Prepare to Apply, and Get Help. First, I'd like you to go here, and I'll put that link in the chat in just a second, but you'll scroll down just so that you can understand what's happening now. We are currently in phase 1. Phase 1 is the program that is open currently, and that is for micro businesses. Jump in and you'll be able to see some requirements here. But if you continue to scroll, you'll see more information. There is mention of phase 2. Again, that doesn't come until the end of the month. All of our advising, all of the help that you'll receive from us is currently and solely phase 1. Phase 2 will come once that February 23rd date hits. Again, you'll continue to scroll down and you'll see there's tons of information. If I go back up, I'm sorry, let me stop here. If you see the section here, it says get updates about EOG. There is a, when you click this button, there is a page that you'll go to. And if you are only interested in phase 2, so for those small businesses and larger, go ahead and click this button. There's an interest form and fill it out, and we'll get you some information as soon as that program or that phase opens. Again, currently we're focused on phase 1. So for phase 1, if I go back up here.
Can you add the location requirements on that? Because some people might have not picked up on that, and I want to make sure they understand that if you could.
Sure. So for these are for the County of Los Angeles. One big difference between the 2 phases is that one is for the county, the other is for omits. So that means those who are within the city of Los Angeles cannot apply. I know it gets confusing, but again, we have videos, we have resources. Just dive into this landing page and you'll be able to get the information that you're looking for. Thank you for that, Lori, because that is a huge determinant or difference, I'm sorry. If you go here to this tab, it says prepare to apply. It'll take you here. It gives you the application checklist, and then you can just continue to scroll down, and then you can actually apply, or you can sign up for an info session. So Lori, these are really important because we are having info sessions in Spanish on Mondays and Wednesdays at noon. They began this week and they go through the month of March. And then we have info sessions in English on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And again, they began this week and they go through the month of March. So you're going to go to this website here. I'm going to put it into the chat, so do not worry. You'll then click here to prepare to apply. You'll scroll down and you'll see this button here. You'll click it. Can you see my new screen? Okay, perfect. You'll scroll down and you'll see for the month of February, they're all listed here. So I just wanted to be sure you'll see there's Spanish and there's English as well. So I'm going to scroll back up and go back to the previous landing page. Again, there's eligibility guidelines. You can scroll down. You'll see the ones for those for phase 1. There's also information related to phase 2. So Lori, I don't want to belabor it, but this new program is up and running. We have resources for you, and we are excited to help you through the process.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Lauren. Thank you for giving us that information. And with that, I'm going to kind of run through mine, and then we'll go through the catch-ups on the webinar and the chat and the Q&A. So with that, I'm going to actually pick up something else. I'm going to go through this slide because I want to, in time, I want to just go on this slide. This is going to be placed in the chat by Lauren. This is another different program. It's learning how to do business with the Port of LA. Now, from what I've been told, that you don't have to be in, I meant to say Port of Long Beach, I apologize. You don't have to be in Long Beach to take advantage of this. It is a 90-minute in-person workshop on Thursday, February 16th at 8:30 a.m. Lauren has placed the link as well as the flyers going in the chat. Please review it if you're interested. You want to bring with you certain things such as your tax ID, your NAICS code, certifications, and a laptop or tablet to expedite your process. But this is a great in-person opportunity if you want to learn more on how to do business with the Port of Long Beach. The flyer also contains an email and I think a phone number where you can call for more information. Here is a schedule for my upcoming classes. I'm beginning the financial literacy series again in February. These have been a big hit. Session 2, I added some time ago. It goes through the basics that you must know to understand if your company is doing well financially and if it's profitable. And session 3 digs more into how to use performance measurements to analyze how well your company is is doing financially. And I'm on the cusp, I'm thinking about adding a special workshop after session 3 to even get more into this crucial information. I'm also bringing back the legal structure for your company. What are the tax advantages? That is scheduled through the Pasadena SBDC on Tuesday, February 21st. I had a lot of people confused about the difference between an LLC, a sole prop, and S corp. I focus on those 3. Okay. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Thank you so much. The date should be Thursday. I forgot to fix that on my slide. Thank you for letting me know that. When you click on the links that Lauren gives you in the chat, it'll be the right dates. Thank you for catching that. I appreciate that. I got to make that change. Coming up next week, we've got our favorite, Deborah Darris. We're going to talk about social media marketing and some more. We got some surprise things we're going to be talking about then. And on February 15th, I've asked Sebastian to come on. He is an advisor at the Pasadena SBDC. He specializes on funding options and loans for small companies. I want him to expand upon the discussion we started with Nate and then delve in deeper with Keith, and that's on microloans and other funding options. So I've asked him to talk about what if you can't get a bank loan? What if you need to borrow like less than $50,000? What choices are there for you? So I think that'll be a great show as well for people to understand what are your options. And then this is an announcement. I'm doing my calendar scheduling for guests for the year. So if you know somebody or someone you know might want to be a guest on the show, please email Lauren and let her know. I will contact the person and find out if that's something that they want to do. I would love to expand the people on the show into the community. Maybe you go to a local restaurant and you really love how the restaurant is, and maybe you go to a local store, etc. So anyone out and about, and Lauren, if you can put into the chat the link that takes us to the landing page of the show, as well as past episodes, then people can share that with anyone they think. And of course, if you want to come on, we would love to have you on the show as well. So speaking of the show, today we have Emma Green on. Now, Emma Green has extensive experience in starting, growing, and running a business. She started Quad's physical therapy in 2008 while still working at the hospital. Then in October of 2019, Emma made the great leap and went 100% into her own business. January 2022, in response to COVID restrictions, Emma Green Programs LLC was formed, offering online courses, programs, and memberships. Emma's also a coach for other physical therapists looking to create their own online business streams. She has also launched 2 books, which she will tell us more about today. And so as you can see from her introduction, Emma has valuable information to share with the audience today. Now, me personally, on a personal note, I have to say, I just love Emma. Her warm spirit, her amazing energy, and all possibility attitude makes her a pure joy to speak with. And many of you might be familiar with her name because she is a frequent flyer in the chat. And I have to add one more thing. When I first started the show so long ago, Emma was one of the first people I reached out and I said, Emma, I'm doing this show. Will you please be a guest? And she said, of course I will. So with that, Emma, welcome to the show. So wonderful to see you.
Thanks, Laurie. It's so great to be here again. And obviously, as you know, I listen to you and Lauren every single week. So this is wonderful to be here.
Well, it's funny, Emma, because as I'm reading your intro, I've been really with you this whole journey,
You have.
Every single move I would get okay, I'm thinking about doing this, I'm thinking about doing this. So in that, Emma, over the time period that I've worked with you and watched you go down these roads, I guess kind of like you're a parent looks at their children. We were just talking about your son's accomplishment, and you just look back and you go, wow, this person has really grown. They really learned a lot. They've taken some twists and turns, and wow, what a remarkable journey. And that's how I feel about you. I feel like the Emma today that I know is so far more experienced and so grounded in being an entrepreneur from the Emma I knew some time ago. And you were already ahead of the game, but I feel like these last couple years, and you may, be able to add on to that if you feel the same way, but I feel like they were huge leaps in learning for you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I think back to, just pre-pandemic, I'd made that leap into to be into my business 100% of the time, but I was still predominantly a brick and mortar, just a regular physical therapy clinic. I had a space, I had staff, we had patients coming in to see us. And when I look at what I do now, being 100% virtual, my clients now, I'm not limited geographically. I have clients all over California, from Northern California down to San Diego, because I don't have those geographical constraints anymore. Yeah. And in the other side of my business now, the online side of things, I have clients all over the world. I mean, it just blows my mind. I think we're about 19 countries and counting.
I know, it's amazing to me too. And I think that what you're saying is so true from a brick and mortar. I mean, you were just going down the road like a brick and mortar does. We do this, next we do this, then we try to get more clients. You weren't into this whole looking around going, what can I develop now? And I think that's one of the biggest changes that I've seen, Emma, over the time period is now you are just looking around at, and that's why I said possibilities, this, tons of possibility and opportunities. It's like the whole world has become an entrepreneurial playground for you now, and you're just looking and seeing what can I evolve to in response to what I'm seeing out in the marketplace versus I'm going down this road and this is the way I go. And that's how I see the difference. It's like the whole world has opened up to you now, which I have to add, you're one of the industries that people don't think world opens up. This is a brick and mortar type industry, and you've proven that not to be true at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, when I think back to that pre-pandemic clinic, it was almost like tunnel vision. It was all about where are our next patients coming from? Which doctors can we tap into? Where can we find our patients? And you're right, it now feels like a very sort of closed way of looking at things. Yeah. Whereas now, I mean, just the possibilities are infinite. I mean, it just blows my mind, the possibilities that we all have access to now with technology as it is, and just the way the world is right now. Even in this economic climate that I know a lot of people are fearful of, there's so much opportunity out there. We've just got to change our way of thinking.
I fully agree. And one of the stories I want to go back to, and I want to do a heads up to Lauren and the audience. I think, Emma, you've been on the show twice. Lauren, if you're able to find those 2 past episodes and put them into the chat, I'm going to refer to something right now, and I think our audience could benefit by watching them. So what I want to let the audience know, to those who have not heard your story, is, and we were talking right before we went live, is that you can hear Emma speaking and you could think, well, she had tons of money to invest and she set up all this and she did that. No, and this is the point I want to emphasize with Emma. She finds a situation and she basically figures out to do something, the least expensive, most quickest pathway that gets her where she wants to go with the correct quality. And I'm going to give a clue and Emma's going to finish. When the COVID restrictions hit and Emma couldn't see people in the studio, she decided she was going to create a video. So I'm going to say it this way. And so, Emma, you went out and invested in a whole lot of equipment to do that, didn't you?
Nope.
No. I remember
I used this.
Yes, use this. And what else? A chair.
I had a chair on top of my dining table. I had a ring binder folder opened up so I could wedge my phone in between the ring binders so that it was in the right place to take my videos.
And see, that's what I think is so interesting, because a lot of times people get stopped in their own tracks because they believe it has to be complicated, or they're not enough yet. They have to get to a point before they can offer it. And I think it speaks volumes to 2 things. The second one being more important. One is the expectation of quality in videos is not as high as it used to be. You don't see the listener picking on, oh, that's not the perfect, screen. That's not this. When you provide, this is the second thing, if you have information that people want, and you provide it and the audio is just fine enough for them to hear and they can see what you're doing, that seems to be enough. But you are much more an expert on that than I. So tell us a little bit about the kind of videos, what you're selling in your videos, and what you've learned about marketing to an online audience in videos.
Yeah, so I very quickly realized when lockdown happened and we kind of shifted to this online model, I'd actually set up a Facebook group for tennis elbow sufferers just a few months before, because that's basically what I do. 75% of my caseload is tennis elbow. I'm the tennis elbow queen. And so I'd set up a Facebook group for my patients so they could all sort of get some support. They didn't feel alone. Somebody else is in their situation. But what I found was people started joining my Facebook group from all over the world. And so then, of course, they're starting to say, well, how can you help me? And as a physical therapist, I'm limited by my license to only treat people within California. So I started to think, well, how can I help these other people? And so basically what I did, all the words that I would normally say to a patient one-to-one, I said to the camera. And so I filmed all of these videos, basically taking them from start to finish, every single treatment technique, every single exercise, everything that I would ever have used to help somebody heal their elbow, I filmed in video form. And I put this onto a course platform, and I now sell it as an online course that people can then self-study and take themselves through and essentially heal their own elbows. And so I literally did all of that on my iPhone. My husband took the kids out for an afternoon, and I did the first 20 videos. And it's just grown from there.
Now we're going to go to the legal structures, but I want to come back to a thought I had while you were speaking that I'd like the audience to hear. I remember going back in the time period when really the internet first came out, and they were trying to say, well, what can you do as far as an audiobook? What can you do to self-publish? What can you do, looking at possibility and opportunities, right? And there was this one article, and it said, if there's anything that you know how to do that someone else maybe wants to know how to do, you've got a ebook, you've got a video, you've got something. And I think that's the truth. And I want to bring that up because, as Emma said, I just said what I would have said to other people in the camera. In companies, you may think, well, we are really only selling a product, but what did you learn in delivering that product that maybe can be a teaching as well, even if it's just a marketing vehicle? So I think the more we look at it like there's a big circle of community in the world, and we're coming into the circle, and with somebody saying, hey, what do you know how to do that you can share? We used to do that as, kids and stuff. What do you know how to do that I can share? I can do this. That's when you start looking at what is it that you can sell as knowledge, because knowledge can be used as marketing or power. It really is amazing. So with that, I want to come back to where we were going down the road. As you spoke of, you could not, based on your license, sell outside of California. So although you started to see something develop, you had to then go back into the business world and say, what do I need to do legally to make sure that I am following my regulations correctly? So a lot of times people are wondering whether they should be this legal structure or that legal structure. Because I've known you historically, Emma, I know that you didn't jump into legal structures just because being a LLC was the Gucci bag of the day. You really learned that be the legal structure you need to, and don't be one just because you think you should. Investigate and research, and you did your research. So I'd like to just, as a preemptive where I'm going, talk to us about what decisions you made on changing legal structures, why you made that decision, and also that you did go to counsel. You just didn't Google. So share with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So my physical therapy clinic is, I'm basically a sole prop. And so I obviously, started out like that when it was just me doing a few hours a week. And even when I grew to my team, I had a team of 9 at one point. And I was still a sole prop because that made sense for me at the stage of business that I was at. When I started to look at how can I help these other people all over the world, I'm going to create courses, I'm going to write books, that then needed to be separate from my physical therapy clinic. Now, physical therapy clinics cannot be LLCs in California. So my online business can be an LLC. So at that point, I thought, okay, that's going to be a really nice separation and distinction, because my physical therapy clinic physically can't be an LLC. So it shows that clear and separate distinction of the two businesses. And obviously I had that conversation with you, Laurie, and you talked me through it. And actually we just had our 1-year anniversary, January the 17th, of the online business.
Wow. I can't believe, first of all, I cannot believe it's been that long. That's amazing. So with that, Emma, let's talk about financially, because you've got to now really have books, if you will, financial accounting for 2 separate companies. And you got your little Emma empire going on here. So what have you learned, anything financially, from making sure you're profitable to doing your books to making sure you keep up with everything? Share any kind of lessons learned financially from running 2 successful companies now.
Yeah, I mean, certainly starting with profit. I know when I very first started my physical therapy business, it literally was a few hours a week, very, very part-time. And when I look back at my numbers there and I look at my profit, I realized when I'd grown this team of 9 and I'd grown to a full-time PT business, and I looked at obviously the revenue was higher, my profit was the same as that initial business for me, just doing a few times a week. And I realized this is not what I've invested all this time for. This is not what I'm spending all of my time doing to be getting exactly the same profit, because everything was just being eaten up by the team, by more rent, by all of these different overheads.
I stop you just for a second, because I want to make sure that catches that, Emma. If you don't mind, hold your thought of where you were going, because guys, I see this every day. People grow themselves out of being even profitable. You at least were getting the same profit. There are ways to financially analyze and forecast how much sales would need to increase to pay for additional overhead and grow. Just growing is not always a good thing, and it's not about revenue. Notice Emma kept saying it was the profit. So she's saying, okay, I'm doing just a few days a week, I'm making this much money. I add this whole team of 9 and I expand, and I'm making the same money, and I'm more tired. So sometimes growth yields to more money, but it's not a given. And it really is important to see, because otherwise people just put their heads down and they're running. And that's what breaks my heart. I see them running and running and running, and they're so tired and they're making less money. So I just wanted to make sure everybody caught that gem you spoke of, Emma. Please continue in your pathway of thought now.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, I know people who run $1 million physical therapy clinics, and they're making the same profit that I was making working a few hours a week. I mean, it's insanity. And I think I came to realize that, chasing the money is not the right thing, because that's not ultimately what I was after. I was after freedom. I was after time. I wanted to have my lifestyle and live my life on my terms. And so certainly, obviously, working with you, Laurie, was very influential with that. When I lost my physical therapy location and I was moving, I found a beautiful location that I loved. I spoke to Laurie, and Laurie told me, you can't afford it. It's like, but I want it. And I, every time I come on, Laurie, I have to say thank you, because I would not be in business now, but for you, helping me make that decision and realizing that, hey, your numbers don't stack up, and they didn't. I was very much of the, can I afford it? What do I have in the bank? Yes, I can afford it, or no, I can't. There was no forecasting. There was no profit and loss. I wasn't really using that at the time. And so now that I have the 2 businesses, I have to do that. I've learned to actually love doing that. And I look at, I'm watching my numbers every single day. There is not a day that goes by that I don't look at my numbers. And it's empowering to know that and have that, and to know, yeah, the money's coming in, it's going to cover those, I'm going to have this. But just that knowledge of what's coming in, when it's coming in, and you've got to know your numbers. It's essential.
You really do. And I don't know whether it's because you're watching the numbers, things work out, or they work out because you're watching, that old, chicken or egg. But there is something to be said that when you make the right decisions and then the opportunity seems to come and the universe does some kind of an alignment. And, it's especially true, like with Emma mentioning the rent. I always say, I'm not saying anything surprising if I say to you, California rents are higher than other places, right? So when you look at the rent, it's kind of already a ding against you from a location standpoint, and it means that you have very little wiggle room. And so many people I see are really working just to pay the rent. They're not having much after that. So, people say, well, if I get a bigger space, I'll get more people. And I go, well, then you're going to be more tired and more broke. Those numbers are so important to see. Speaking of numbers, I'm going to come in from a number perspective, but I'd like for you to extrapolate on marketing. Marketing is an interesting aspect, as we all know, and we're going to have Deborah coming on talking about marketing next week. But what I was just speaking with a client about is when you look at the ROI for marketing, many of the social media people and the marketing companies will sell you on, well, you had an X percentage in sales growth or an X of this. And I always tell them, and I was just teaching somebody internally, you can't look at it that way. You have to say, how much is my net income after the sales increase, and how much should I pay for the marketing? Because it's really about the net income increasing. And what I find, and this is where I'm tying the two together, Em, and then hitting the ball and you run with it. When people start trying to market some online sales, online courses, of course, you then have to market online to sell online. Well, that's when I see the dollars being wasted and people just go crazy with Facebook this and trying to get this, and all they get is likes, and you can't buy a quart of milk with that. So when you were marketing your physical therapy, it was a whole different world. When you went to marketing online, you had to become a marketing person in a new light that you never were before. So I know you've got many pearls of wisdom on how to market online that you've learned from trial and error. So give us some thoughts on that, Emma.
Yeah, it is all about relationship building, which obviously it is offline as well. It's definitely about relationships, but it's exactly the same relationship wise online. Now, the biggest lead generator that I have is my Facebook group. People find my Facebook group. It's grown over time. I have nearly 2,500 tennis elbow sufferers in there right now. So it is the biggest tennis elbow Facebook group, the biggest Facebook group for tennis elbow sufferers at all. So when people are typing that in, they find me. And so I probably get 100 people a month just from my Facebook group. So, but that's exactly where I want them, because they hear me every day. They see me every day. I have to build that know, like, and trust factor. And they used to be in marketing this whole, you've got to have 7 touch points before somebody's going to buy from you. We're building know, like, and trust. Well, online, that's not 7. It's more like 57. They have to have seen you so many more times. People are very skeptical about online. People are scared of being scammed. They're scared of being taken advantage of. They don't really know. There's nothing tangible right now when you first meet somebody online. And so to build that relationship and that know, like, and trust factor is really crucial. And I've tried Facebook ads, not really in depth. It's definitely something that I will work towards in the future, but I don't think you don't need to spend a lot of money. You can just build that relationship with your people in that group. People want to be seeing you. They want to be hearing you. I didn't used to like being on camera. I kind of did a little challenge with myself and got myself over that, because people do need to see you and hear you. I will often take a quick video of a new exercise that I'm doing, or a new stretch that I found helpful for somebody, or just something that a client has said to me, testimonials, all these different things. And all of these are little touch points that go out. And the amazing thing to me is that I'll suddenly then have somebody will buy my course, and I've never spoken to them. They've never answered any of my emails, because email marketing is something else that I do. They've never liked any of my posts. They've never commented on any of my posts, but they've been watching me and listening to me for months. And they feel like they know me by this point, and then they're ready to spend the money on my course.
Interesting.
And so, yeah, it's that consistency and just really allowing people to get to know you.
And you know what I find fascinating, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to communicate this well, but Emma, you'll see where I'm going with this. So with tennis elbow, when people, and I've had it before, you know, from repetitive sports, et cetera, right? Many years ago, I know that emotion. You just want to go to a doctor and have them do something, right? And with that, what you did is you saw that your transition from giving videos on how the person can help themselves. In other words, in my mind, Emma, and I'm using my words, and you tell me if there's any truth to this, in a way I see it as you gave the patient with the pain their control to help themselves rather than go to a specialist. They can participate in their healing. And I'm starting to see across different platforms of different people selling information where maybe somebody would go to a specialist before, somebody can help them. What are the herbs I should take for better health? Or, you know, how can I do certain things to solve these problems within myself? Do you feel as though some of your success can be empowering in the people, and that's where, because to me, Emma, and I'm saying it for the people in our audience, I'll tell you where I'm going. If I think a lot of people in our audience, if they've got something they know how to do, one thing they know how to do is empower people. So I don't know how much is actually, obviously you're helping them out of pain, but you're empowering them too. Your thoughts on where I'm going and where I might be going with it that I don't even know.
Yeah, I would say as a physical therapist, most people think of hands-on.
Right.
Well, I've been a virtual physical therapist now for nearly 3 years. And so I haven't put my hands on anybody since lockdown started, March 13th, 2020. I haven't put my hands on anybody. And yet I have continued to help hundreds, thousands of people to heal. So 80% of my job is education, and educating people and getting them to understand why something's happening, what they can do to change it, and empowering them to do it.
I love that. Why something is happening, what they can do, and empowering them. Lauren, you got to capture that in the chat, because really, you know, that is what it all comes down to on why somebody wants to buy a product, wants to, you know, see a video. And see, I think that can be across so many industry and platforms. I mean, another way of me saying it to the audience, if a physical therapist can be making a business and growing wildly and not even having any close proximity to their patients or clients, you can do it too. Okay, this is the most off one that you would ever think that would say I'm making a ton of money online. You know, that's what makes it so amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so much opportunity as well. When I first started delving into sort of the online world and the online business and online courses, it really blew my mind with regards to, you know, people are making 6 figures a year selling a course on how to make candy apples. I mean, they are, you know, and so many people are, there's screen printing, there's, I mean, just dress design, all kinds of things, painting, artists. I mean, anything and everything that you can think of, there are online courses for these things now, and people are teaching their skills, showing people how they do whatever it is they do, and teaching other people how to do it. And there's an online course.
In fact, I want to get into technology, but when you talk about it, you know, I'm a big fan of, I think it's pronounced Udemy. I don't know, but they're classes. But when you talk about it, I bought an American Indian flute. I've always wanted to play it, right? Well, every time I tooted on my flute, my cat's ears would go back. I was like, I need a lesson. To be like, oh, please stop doing that. You're killing me. So for like $14, I bought a lesson and walking through how to toot on my flute. And now I'm getting better. And it's so much fun because I've done working. I'm like, I'm going to toot on my flute. So it is so true. And the other thing that I was thinking the other day, because I do invest in a lot of these different things that I want to learn or experience. And I was thinking, because I'm an introvert, I kind of like learning and not being in a room, because I'm not sidetracked by everybody else and what they're doing, but yet I'm in a training as if I'm in an online class or an in-person class, but I get to have the privacy of being in my own learning space, and it really benefits me. And I think that people are starting to enjoy that. So with that, I mentioned just where I'm getting some of my information. Let's talk technology for a little bit, Emma. Say that you want to put a course online. What have you done? What platforms have you used, from putting the course there to, payments, et cetera, that you can share with our audience on their DIY?
Yeah, when I very first started, as I said, I filmed all my videos on my phone. I still do that to this day. And I uploaded them to YouTube, which you can do for free. You house them on YouTube unlisted, so only the people with the links can see them. And then I emailed people the links. I mean, it literally was that. And you can access an email provider, I mean, obviously, again, for free. So you can start very, very low cost. And I would always recommend that. Test it out, see if you like it. And then as I started to grow and I started to get more people buying my course, I transitioned to a course platform called Kajabi. Okay. And I use Kajabi as my course hosting platform. It's incredibly robust. There's a lot of different functionality that they have. I wouldn't say it's necessarily for beginners, just because there is a cost element to it. But unlike some course providers, Kajabi is a flat rate fee every month. So I know exactly how much I am going to pay for Kajabi. They don't take a percentage of the course fees. So you can charge whatever you want for your courses, and that all it obviously goes to you. I use Stripe for my courses that integrates with Kajabi, and it all goes through there. Obviously, there is a fee for using Stripe, but again, it's incredibly robust. I take payments from all over the world, all kinds of different countries. Even though I sell in US dollars, Stripe will take payments from wherever.
Now, you're not the first person I heard talking about Kajabi for courses. How do you spell Kajabi so our audience can look that up on their own?
Yeah, it's Kajabi.
Perfect. Because I just was talking with somebody the other day that was selling a bunch of courses, and they were using Kajabi, and I looked at it and I was real impressed with the functionality of it. So that's a good, like you said, you can start out no cost through YouTube and, emailing your courses. I know when the internet first came into existence, I created a video course, and at the time there was not these options, and I had to pay for a download, and it was not always downloaded properly, and it caused a lot of issues. But things have progressed, especially, I think that's one thing we can say thank you to the pandemic, is that the technology has really, really increased. Now, I want to make sure I don't miss talking about this. So we got to bring up your books. And not only the fame that you have now with the books, but also how you have gone through different ways of marketing by getting in front of groups that is not where you would normally think you would be, but they used your product, so to speak. You know where I'm going with this. So take us back to the very beginning, the first book, and everything that you have experienced, because so many people write a book, but they don't get profits from it. They don't get marketing advantages from it. It just sits there, but you've done really well with this. Walk us through the book venture.
Yeah, so I think, like a lot of people, I'd always had, I'm going to write a book on my list of things to do. And it always, sat very much at the bottom. And every year, I'll write a book, I never got around to it. So when lockdown hit and I gained back 10 hours of my week because I wasn't taking kids to and from school, I thought, okay, I'm going to use that time and I'm going to write my book. And so I did. And the nice thing about that is, because I'd created my course and I'd done all these videos, I took a lot of those transcriptions and edited them into my book. So again, there's so much you can do with just recycling content and repurposing content for different things. So my book was, the framework was similar to my course. It's very complementary. I have links in the book to book bonuses, so additional videos that they can get if they buy my book. You can get additional videos that then gets them onto my email list. So it gets them into my world. So I'm growing my email list. I use it as a lead generator. I self-published through Amazon, through KDP. And I did have a book mentor who helped me through the process. So anybody can write a book, you know, you literally just type away or write away, you write a book. But to format a book, to come up with the cover design, to know all the dimensions, that was out of my realm. And even knowing what needs to be on sort of the book plate, you know, what needs to be on there, what disclaimers need to go in, you know, I needed some help with that. So I did work with a book mentor who basically held my hand through it. I had done an online course on how to write a book and to market a book. And so obviously my first book, Tennis Elbow Relief, I obviously was very vocal about this within my Facebook group of my tennis elbow sufferers. So they knew what the book was coming, and I had a launch party on Zoom where everybody was invited. I had people who were mentioned in the book. So I've got my very first patient wrote the foreword to my book. He's a professional drummer, so he'd written the foreword for me. Doctors and other physical therapists or the occupational therapists all came to my virtual party, and I'd learned how to become an Amazon #1 bestseller. And so there are strategies that you can put in place to ensure that you can hit that spot. And so I did that. I was number 1, 2, 3, and 4 in 4 different countries. And so it's definitely something that you can do. Now, from there, then my book has now been admitted to the World Tennis Library at the All England Tennis Club in Wimbledon. So that was in December of last year. That was very exciting. And then that led to me being in the newspaper, because here I am as a Sierra Madre-based physical therapist with a book in the World Tennis Library in Wimbledon. So you can see how the marketing opportunities just kind of build on each other. And every time, you know, there's an anniversary of my book, I'll do a promotion. I just had the first anniversary of my online business. I did a flash sale of my book. So, you know, I sold 15 books on that day. So it's really nice just to be able to build on that. And it's always something that I can promote. I spoke at a virtual tennis summit last year and obviously was promoting the book. So it gives you, it's a low cost of entry as well. You can get somebody into your world for a relatively small amount of money, and they've got something tangible. They can hold this, they can look through this. They obviously have that connection with you a little closer as well.
Yeah, you know, you said some things that were just brilliant. I love the fact that you're actually in a tennis match type situation where they would get tennis elbow. I think that is just awesome. But, you know, as far as going back to writing a book, I had written several books several years ago, and there's a couple things that just ring true to what you said. First of all, I was always saying I was going to write a book, right? But who had time? But I was always writing articles and I was writing summaries. So I said, okay, I'm going to take the summaries and I'm going to combine them and they're going to be the book. And so I did the same thing as you did with the transcripts, right? Then when I got the books written, they were all, you know, performance measurements and all the stuff that I speak about. I put them on Amazon, but I never did any marketing. And if you don't do the marketing on Amazon, you're not going to get there. But I really didn't put them on Amazon to be selling as much on Amazon. They were sold a lot through the classes I was teaching, and it gave them a way to buy through Amazon, to use Amazon's purchasing, right? But it was definitely a clear thing to me that if you just put a book on Amazon, if you're not marketing, I still occasionally get sales, and I keep saying I got to pull those books up and actually market. I ended up selling a lot of them in the financial models, but they were all tied into, you know, teaching and different things I was doing. So the concept is, yes, you can do a book. Sometimes it's a matter of just combining what you already have, and you have to be proactive to market it. But the Amazon platform I found to be very easy to use, and I'm still on that platform. So, you know, that's another aspect, and it doesn't have to be huge. You know, it can be a very, very small book. Okay, now we're going to get into Emma's mind. Okay, because guys, you can already tell, okay, I'm here now, I'm writing this book. And Emma, you're not, you are always looking for opportunity, but you don't lock yourself in a room and write a 6-month, 1-year strategy business plan. You have an idea where you're going, but you just actively pursue things. What drives you, what internal thought, anything you want to go that allows you to just be so open and actively taking action on ideas to manifest all this around you? I know that's a mouthful I just said, but can you tackle that, Emma? Can you tell us, can you give us some hints?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I absolutely love what I do. You can probably tell, when I talk about it, I absolutely love what I do. I've been a physical therapist now for 30 years, and it's not just what I do, it is who I am. And so I really love helping people. I really love teaching people. And I think I've just found my niche in that I can reach so many more people through this screen than I could in my clinic. And it's really opened up that world for me. I love that. But certainly I do suffer a little bit from shiny object syndrome. There's all these different ideas, as I know a lot of us do as well. But this year I really decided that, okay, I've got to really bring my focus back in with regards to, I am the tennis elbow queen. It is what I do. It is what I absolutely love to help. And so I'm actually going to be niching down even more. Towards the end of last year, and with sort of the economic climate as it was going, I started to get people saying that they couldn't afford my services. This is partly the reason that I wrote the book, was to have a low cost option for people. But they couldn't afford the book. It's tough times, all of this type of thing. And I know I've got enough free stuff out there. I've got enough low cost things out there. And I'm almost going to be going back to my roots, which used to be sport. Before the children, I was a sports physical therapist. I would travel all around the world with teams. And I'm now niching back down to, I'm going to be treating tennis players and golfers, because these are going to be the people who this economic climate is really not going to affect them,
right,
in the same way that it's going to be affecting others. Now, if I can keep the income coming in from my tennis players and from my golfers, it means then I have the option to be able to help everybody else. I can keep putting more free stuff out. I'm not going to be strangling myself from an income perspective to then not be able to help anybody. So I'm going to be keeping my virtual doors open. I'm going to be focusing on those bigger groups and really working with them at a sports specific level as well, which is what they want. Getting them back on court fast, getting them back on the course quickly. And then that gives me the freedom and the opportunity to then be able to help everybody else on a more pro bono and free option opportunities too.
I picked up on that some time ago, when you said, I looked at the online, how can I help people? And I think that is such an interesting question. I actually started Business Simply Put, which is my company name today, as a DBA from my turnaround consulting, because I wanted to help the small business companies, the smaller business people. And my whole thing was taking the big information I learned and bring it down. So it really is, when you say, okay, I want to help these people, they can't afford me, but what offerings can I give? And that's where my courses and everything came. Now, we did get a question from the audience. How did you decide how much to charge for your online course? That's a good question, because you can be all over the place. Where did you get the numbers from?
Yeah, it's a great question. When I kind of looked around at what other people were doing at the time, and it seemed like the $1,000 mark was around the right level. And so thinking back to when I did my first launch, I promoted it in the Facebook group. I had plenty of people in there. And I can remember doing that first webinar, and I sold zero in that first launch. And I was just absolutely devastated. I was like, well, I know how to treat this. I know this can help people. Why can't I sell it? And it came down to my mindset. I could sell physical therapy all day long because I've been doing it forever. I couldn't sell an online course. And it was so interesting to me to see that differentiation. And so I dialed it all the way back. There was a lady who had been speaking with kind of to and fro in the Facebook group. And I said to her, would you test out part of this course for me? You know, kind of go through it. Because at that time, nobody had gone through it. It was just like, it was brand new. I said, could you test it out for me? Like go through the links and everything and like even the payment process. I said, I'll put it in as $1. And she was like, yeah, of course, no problem. And so she did that. And I was like, I've made a sale. I sold it for $1. And it was literally like the first 10 videos, but I'd sold it for $1. So then the next one, I was like, would you test this for me? And I'll you know, the links and everything. And it's only $10. And they're like, yeah, of course. And it went up. And then I got to the point where that first section, because it's basically 4 sections, each section was selling for $100. And I was like, I can sell this for $100. Yeah. And so I was there for a little bit of time, but it sat on my website at $1,000. And then people started to buy it on my website. And I was like, well, I guess the price is now $1,000.
Interesting. Yeah.
And so it sat there for a while. And then I had a big birthday last year and I was going to do a 50% off promotion, but to have 50% off $1,000 didn't feel right. So I put the price up first. So it sat on my website at $1,500 and I did like a 50% off. And then people started buying it on my website for $1,500. I'm like, that's my new price. That's where I am. And now I'm thinking about my tennis and my golfers and the sport specific aspects I'm adding it'll go up again. Yeah.
That's the thing. You know, I remember for years, I did my speaking, my public speaking and my writing as a marketing for my turnaround consulting business. When I decided that I actually wanted to be making money at that rather than using it just for marketing, I had these 2 goals. How can I make $1 from speaking and how can I make $1 from writing? Well, now I don't speak without being paid and I don't write without being paid, right? But it was this, I knew I had given it away as a marketing, so I gave it away for free. Mentally, I had to enter into the mindset that I now sell it and it has a value to be sold. And I just did the same thing. I said, well, this year I'm going to make $1 from my speaking. And I started at the end of the year and I started offering, you know, classes and I had like 40,000 from my speaking by the end of the year, you know, so that dollar question really does pay off. We got another question from the audience, whether you're mentored for the book or where you can find a mentor, how to interview for a mentor, but somebody who wants to look at writing a book and would love to know how to get a mentor to help them write the book.
Yeah, so my mentor is Lisa Ellis. That's Leesa, Lisa Ellis. She's actually based in New Zealand, but I found her through the Female Entrepreneur Association, which is another business organization that I'm a part of. And she has been sort of in books for 20-25 years and knows them inside and out, and was really helpful in helping me through that. She even found a local printer in LA that could help me print like the first round of my books before we went into KDP. And she was just incredibly helpful. If anybody wants her information, don't hesitate to email me and I can absolutely connect you. But you really want to, you want to know, when I was looking for, I thought I needed an editor, and you don't just need an editor. So Lisa put me in contact with an editor. She has editors who work with her. She did the cover work, in fact, for both of my books. So this is the second one. So she did the cover for both of the books. She did all the formatting inside. She walked me through uploading it to KDP. I mean, every aspect she basically held my hand through. So it was really, really helpful. But I wanted to know past performance. I wanted to see books that Lisa had created and had helped other people create, and to see how successful they had been. So I looked at all of that and I was very impressed with her work. And yeah, it was a great working relationship.
Excellent advice on interviewing somebody. That's perfect. So one last question, we're going to go back to Emma's mindset. You know, being an entrepreneur, you take so many hits, you know, just like when nobody bought your online course, right? How what advice, I was going to say, how do you keep going? What advice can you give the audience? You know, from being in the chat, so many times people say the words, I need inspiration, I need motivation, I need to stay going, right? And so you comment a lot in the chat for that. I want people to be able to see your smiley face and your happy voice. Give us a good Emma dose of inspiration, motivation, and how to keep going as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I think for me, I have definitely embraced the woo, which I know sounds a little odd. And again, if we'd have been having this conversation 20 years ago, you would never hear these words out of my mouth. But I meditate every day. I journal every day. I do believe in manifesting. And I think that is a huge part of it. But you have to be around like-minded people as well. You have to find your group, you have to find your tribe, whatever that may be, and surround yourself with people who are either where you want to get to or are heading in the same direction as you, so that you have that support, because it can be very lonely. Your friends and family are not all going to understand. They're just not. And
Right.
to be able to have support from other people who are going through the same things, who are experiencing the same things, who are having successes, you can celebrate together and you can all move forwards together. I think that is the biggest thing.
Yeah, I agree. That is so well said. And I love the woo. I always say, and you've heard me say it on the show before, that I don't care what's going on. I'm going to believe that there's magic fairy dust in the world. And I get that from when the Christmas thing where he, put the magic fairy dust and the reindeers fly. I saw that as a kid and I always held it. And I always tell myself, especially when things aren't going, is there's magic fairy dust in the world. And I say to myself sometimes, I go, how would a child view this? Not in a childish, but childlike. Children, and I've not had children, so more than I would. But when I look at children, they look in their eyes is everything's a mystery and an excitement in the world. And if you can come from, there's magic fairy dust, what's the excitement, what's there, and then ground yourself with the technical, the application, how do I get? And I love the part I'm going to, end with this, is that the niche part. I know you talked about, but I think we can't go without pointing that out. The chasing, I think you said shiny objects, is the entrepreneurial downfall. When I see so many people, they have scarce resources, they're chasing this idea, then they're chasing this idea, and they don't get anything secured down and manifested because they're all over. Where you have really taken a skill, physical therapy, and you focused on one specific ailment, tennis elbow, and you have taken that to town, to every town possible, and you're now focusing on golfers as well as tennis players, is brilliant. So you took a vast amount of knowledge and then really streamlined it. Well, I can tell you that now that we believe we've been talking for over an hour. I've got actually, I know, I can chat with you forever, and I know the audience has been real appreciative of this conversation. The takeaways is really, you can do it. Just go out in the world, keep going forth, look for opportunity, and be able to turn things upside down and look at them from a different perspective. I think that's one thing you've showed us through this process of your discovery, is how to look at things in a different perspective. So I'm going to have you say any last words to the audience, and a big thank you to me for you coming on and sharing everything, and a big thank you of you being a frequent flyer, because when I start the show and I'm always like, okay, I hope this is going to be a good show, I see you in the chat and you ground me. You're like, okay, Emma's here, it's time to go, Lori, you got this. And so as much I've been there for you, Emma, you ground me and you make me happy and inspired. So thank you so much for being here today. So give us any last words you like before we close.
Yeah, you're so welcome, Lori. I would say to everybody listening, look at your business and look at what is that one opportunity that you could tap into, particularly for passive income. I know as physical therapists, we are constantly recommending different products to people, whether it's heating pads or TENS machines or dumbbells or whatever it is. and you can set yourself up as an Amazon affiliate, and you can, you know, it's pennies on the dollar, but it can grow over time. And there's so much opportunity out there, you know, that people can tap into. Just look for those little opportunities that are there, and just grab them with both hands. And, you know, don't chase the money, but chase the freedom.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, you're getting a ton of thank yous. I just put your information on how people can get in touch with you back into the chat. And today, guys, Lauren had to walk out early. I am officially closing the show today. So if you're wondering why I didn't invite Lauren back, she's there, but not. We got someone behind the scenes helping us today. So Emma, you're going to have to come back on the show. I'm just telling you, you're just going to have to come back on the show. There's no way around it. It's just too wonderful. So I want to say thank you to everybody that's been here in the audience. I know you got wonderful information from Emma. Thank you for the frequent flyers and those who are just joining us. So please join us next week. We're going to have Deborah Darris on. We're going to talk about marketing and social media, picking up on some of the comments that Emma made today. So thank you again for being on Small Biz Talk with your host, Lori Williams, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.